everybody. This is Boris Schlossberg. Welcome to the Trading Battle, where we trade for fun and charity, trading markets live. Welcome everybody from Des Moines to Dubai. Great to have everybody with me. Please, if you have any questions, please be sure to post them and ask us any questions. We'll take them as the show goes on. I have a super special show today. Today on the show, I have two very interesting contestants, Andrew Mitchem from the Forex Trading Coach and Zoran Kresovic. Gentlemen, good to see everybody. Hello, everybody. We have a sort of a great panel of guests and a really good sequence of trades that I think you guys are going to be very interested in, given the week's developments that are going to be going on in the markets. First of all, Andrew, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey there, Boris. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you. Where are you coming to us from? Andrew,
I'm coming to you from Nelson, which is the top of the South Island in New Zealand. So down at the bottom of the world.
So you're 2 days ahead of me at this point. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm a few hours ahead of you. About 15.
So Andrew is a very well seasoned trader. He has been in the biz almost more than 20 years, right? More than 20 years.
I think, Boris, when I started, you're the only person I still know who's still trading.
Okay, so the good thing is both of us still have our hair, so that is something.
Yeah,
that's that's a statement to our being able to survive in the markets. I think somebody said that to me the other day. They said, "I know you're not as short because you still have all your hair." So I guess that's probably
like
true. Anyways, good to see you, my friend. Andrew, of course, runs a very good coaching business called the Forex Trading Coach, and he's been trading for more than 20 years. Can you tell us just a little bit about sort of your background, the kind of stuff that you've been doing, and how you trade, and what is your process a little bit?
Yeah, sure, Boris. I'm purely a technical trader. So I, as people would know, I look at charts. I generally prefer the slightly longer time frame charts myself. But my strategy is based primarily on candle patterns, support and resistance levels, and it can be applied to any market, which would be good for this session when we're looking at maybe some cryptos or commodities, as well as Forex and any time frame charts. So I'm looking for the pattern for reversals or continuations rather than worrying about the market so much.
Right. Now, when you say longer term time frame, what is your sweet spot time frame?
Probably my absolute favorite would be the daily charts. So I always try to look at the 5 p.m. New York close of day chart,
right,
and look at the daily charts. Then that would be my main sort of go-to time frame. And then I'll have a look at the beginning of each week and month, weekly and monthlies. And then coming up now, right now we're 5 a.m. New York time. I would normally be looking at 12-hour, 6-hour, and possibly 4-hour charts as well.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now, our other guest today with us is Zoran Kresovic. Zoran, welcome. Nice to see you. Zoran is a market strategist, published all across the business world. It's been featured in Australia Business, The Age, and some of the other publications. Zoran, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the markets. I know you have a sort of a storied career. You've been in banking and finance for quite a while, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Boris. Thanks for having me on. I've been trading for quite a number of years. Started dabbling into the market back in 2007, 2008.
Perfect time to start the market.
Yeah. Seeing the lows and then seeing some highs afterwards, I could actually probably say so. And ever since, I've done a lot of education, worked in banking, managed funds and equities, as well as brokerage space for a number of years. So discretionary trader, probably consider myself position trading / swing trading, predominantly focusing on technical analysis with a bit of scope in terms of the macro fundamental stuff as well. But just like Andrew, looking at major support resistance levels, reversal patterns and signals, and then also considering some momentum in that as well.
Okay. So when you say position trading, what's the duration of your trades? Is it a couple of days? Is it a couple of weeks? What is your sweet spot of the duration?
So it can actually vary depending on the overall performance of the actual position itself. I generally like to start off looking at when doing analysis, I like to focus on monthly, weekly, daily, and then entry levels and 4-hourly charts. Then I like to extend the actual managing of the trades on a longer time frame. So focusing on daily, with obviously having the money management in play as well. And then if the trades continue to go well, then it can actually go anywhere from, within a day up to a couple of weeks, I would say.
What's the longest you've held a trade?
4 to 6 weeks. 6
weeks. What trade was that?
That was ASX 200. So I'm very big on trading index markets. I like these as well, but I like indices. And also I like to put better focus on more aggressive and volatile stuff such as gold and silver as well.
Among the indices, what are your favorite indices to trade?
I like to look at something local. Obviously, living in Australia, in Melbourne, I'm based in Melbourne, can be quite challenging with time zones, and obviously looking at the European and US sessions.
Right.
I know that's where majority of big players are, and that's where you get most liquidity within the market in itself. But
Right.
I like to focus on something a little bit slower, which is ASX 200. And also it's within the time zone, so you get to actually follow the macro levels and all the fundamental news that come out within the time zone where you're based. So I can still perform my day-to-day job, as well as actually managing my positions and trading within the time zone. So that helps.
Interesting. Hey, Andrew, I'm actually curious, what's the longest you've ever held a trade? And what was it?
Probably about 6 months on a monthly trade. I think it was the Euro franc, which, as we know, doesn't move a great deal. But the Euro franc
did it move 1%? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was a slow one, but I had the swap in my favor, and I just held it for about 6 months on a monthly chart. I kind of like it though, Boris. It's 6 months, which sounds obviously is a long time, but it's 6 candles. If I was trading on, say, like a 4-hour chart, that's no different for me. The equivalent of keeping it open for a day. 6 candles. So it was all relative.
Okay, flipping the side, actually, I'm actually curious. What's the shortest duration that you've had? Like, Zoran, do you trade intraday ever? Like, buy in the morning, sell in the afternoon? Do you do any of those kind of trades?
I do. That's what I consider as a momentum trading. So if I actually see like quick 20, 30 points within the range or within the move in itself, then I like to do momentum trading with more aggressive approach. Load on the position sizing with appropriate stop losses. It can be, below the previous low, or it can be a trailing stop loss, assessing the candles or the bars in itself, a bar chart, and then essentially trying to actually scalp the market. It doesn't happen very much these days, to be honest, especially if you're looking at the index market in itself, because you don't get as much volatility. I know in the month of April, we've seen quite a bit of volatility within the market in itself, but that's why I actually like to transition into gold and silver. Because I think over the past few months we've seen some tremendous moves in terms of gold and silver, and also breaking the key cycles or key levels of support and resistance. And I'm huge on that consolidation move at the market top or market bottom. And then if you see significant breakouts, especially if you assess on the longer time frames, I think those moves can be quite explosive.
Yeah, agreed. Andrew, what about you? Any intraday trading at all, or?
Yeah, I will look if there's nothing happening, say, on the slightly longer time frame charts. I'll look down to the 1 and 2 hour charts, especially at this time of day, when the European market's open. The rest of the day, for my daytime, I don't really look at those. But 5 a.m. time's a big time for me.
Interesting. Okay. All right, gents. Well, it's time for our first challenge. And by the way, both of the contestants are trading on the 8Cap brokerage platform, one of our favorite brokers. Again, if you have any questions for us, simply post them. We'll be happy to ask any of the contestants any market questions or any trading questions or even any psychology questions that you may have. Be glad to answer them. Anything that you may have. But we're going to focus first and foremost on the Bank of England decision coming up this week. That's really the major macroeconomic event this week, I think. We really don't have much on the calendar anywhere in North America or Europe aside from that. So ahead of that rate decision, we're going to ask both of the contestants to pick a pound cross and tell us, whether you want to go long or short, give us some reasons, both technical and maybe even fundamental, on what you think will be the optimal trade into this week, given the Bank of England rate decision. I'm going to start with Andrew, since Andrew is strictly a technical trader.
Yeah.
We're going to keep you in the vacuum. No news, no opinions about Bank of England, no thoughts about their inflation rates. Just tell me what the charts are telling you, what you think could be feasible as a decent trade going forward.
Sure. Okay, Boris. Yeah, I've had a good look through a lot of the British pound pairs.
And let's see if we can. Do you want to show us?
Up there it is. So what I'm picking, I'm going for the good old euro, the pound US dollar. I've been looking through the pound Aussie, the yen, Canadian, etc. And I'm looking at taking a sell position, a short position on the pound US dollar.
Okay.
One of the reasons that I like the look of this, now this is a weekly chart, and obviously clearly we're only halfway through the week, so a lot could happen still. Not possibly the way I'd normally trade, but what I'm liking on this is I like this 125 level in here. And being able to put my stops above that level to me is going to be something that's probably going to make or break the trade.
Okay.
And I also, and again, I like trading on close of candles, and we're only halfway through the week, but I also see plenty of room down here for the trade to potentially move as well. Going on to today, I'm sort of biased short on the pound US for today as well. I've taken an Aussie US sell trade today, so I'm looking for a bit of strength in the US dollar.
US dollar. I'm just curious, looking at this chart, what specifically do you see in these candles? That hints, is it just sort of lower highs? What's your analytical process on all of this that makes you think it's a short rather than a long?
I've just mentioned that this is not closed, so that it's not quite exactly what I'd be doing on a normal Monday. But I'm assuming for now, for the sake of being on here, it has. So what I'm seeing is this nice downtrend here on the weekly, and then a pullback. And I love what I call N shapes and U shapes. So this is an N shape. You imagine like a letter N here. The price has gone up, and now it looks like it's tipping down again. Little Bollinger Band, 20-period moving average is okay. It's an area where the price potentially could bounce. But I'm also liking the fact that I've got round number, like as in the 125 level stop loss protection.
Right.
I think that's important for any trade, knowing that that's been some lows through here. There's another low further up higher here. What I'd look at doing, Boris, is splitting my entry. We're looking at saying a 1% total risk, but I'd split that over two sell trades with two different stop losses, knowing that if both of them got stopped out, that equals a 1% loss.
Right. So curious, you are well known for that. You're a multi-entry type of a trader. When you like to split your trades, could you walk us through a little bit that process?
Yeah, sure.
Using this particular trade as maybe as an example, what would you do?
Yeah, sure. So obviously on here, we've talked about we're only going to take market orders because we're on here today. Right. If I was not on here, I'd be taking two sell limit orders. So I'd be looking for, and again, assuming this candle would close. So let's say this was a 12-hour chart. This is closed. I'd be looking at taking two limit orders using fib retracement entries for the price to first pull back and then enter a sell trade, one below here, below the 125 level, and then one just below this pivot point in this area over here. The reason I do that normally is because that's going to, if we get those retracements, it's going to substantially increase my reward to risk.
Right.
And I like to have trades that are sort of, 90% of my trades would be between a 2-to-1 and a 5-to-1 reward to risk. It means I don't need to be right all the time. In fact, I can be wrong half of 50% of the time. Still be good.
I missed the risk rewards. Is it 2-to-1? You said
between it normally with the retracement entries I take, it gives me between a 2 and a 5-to-1, depending on the trade.
Depending on the trade. Okay, but and then blended in, it probably comes in around 2.5, right?
Yeah, 2.5, 3. It's about a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how, given that let's just for argument's sake, you're a 3-to-1 risk reward entry trader. How is it? Are you a 30% win trader? How high is your win rate?
I'm about 50 on if we average it across all time frames.
Okay. Well, that's very good. If you're 50% and anywhere above 1-to-1, you're obviously net positive on expectancy. That's really, really good. Okay, so we have an answer from Andrew. He's short cable here. It's kind of a manufactured environment that we have here, he's coming in market, but he would have, in his ideal state, come in here in 2 retrace entries. Now, the only problem I have with that, by the way, is I have a question for you: is do you ever miss trades as a result of it? Like, it just doesn't retrace. Yes,
definitely. Yeah, and you kind of, if you miss it, you miss it. If I'm trading a daily time frame, I'll split between a market order and a limit order. But everything else especially the shorter time frames, I'll generally look for the retracements, because obviously smaller candle, you're more likely to get a bigger retracement,
right?
Some form of retracement,
right? Better miss a trade than get a bad price, right?
Yeah, if you miss the trade, you miss the trade. You look at it and go, well, I still caught it right. It just didn't retrace enough.
Okay, cool. All right, Zoran, what about you? What are you thinking on the cable front? What do you think about the Bank of England generally? I mean, what are their conditions like? What do you think they're going to do? And maybe a little bit about the UK economy in general. You have any views? Zoran is you're muted. You're muted. We just need to unmute you.
Apologies.
That's okay. No problem. That's okay. It's okay.
Zoran. Are you able to see my screen at the moment?
Yes. You want to share it. We're not seeing it just yet, but it's coming up.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well,
look at that. Look at that beautiful trading view annotated screen. I'm always very jealous of people who make beautiful annotations, since I make people. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking at that's all right. That's all right. I think it's a great question. I'm of the view that Bank of England, ECB, we've already seen it with the Swiss National Bank as well, actually starting to drop the rates. I'm of the view that whilst Bank of England might not cut the rates in tomorrow's meeting, and there is only a slight chance that they will, I think it's only priced 10 to 15% in terms of the market. However, I'm of the view that at some point between June and September, the first cut will come through. Fundamentally, I think the services sector in the UK is actually slowing down at a rapid pace. Deflation is obviously taking its toll. If I'm looking at pound, I'm actually focusing as well on the versus the US dollar at the moment as well, primarily on the fact that I believe that Fed will probably cut only one interest rate. They will cut only 25 basis points potentially in the month of September, or none. So they might actually keep the rates until higher for longer narrative, which we've actually heard from Jerome Powell in his most recent FOMC meeting. So I think it's all reflecting that within this particular chart as well, because if you have a look at it, just like similar to what Andrew has done with his analysis, and I can see that 125 is actually a key, has been key support level in the past, back in December and around late February 2023 and 2024. But what we've seen recently is actually from the highs back in March at that level 128.931 all the way down to 123, we're actually seeing a medium short and medium term downtrend or downward channel in play. So obviously it's already kind of getting priced or baked into the market in itself, because obviously market always indicates or is looking at or is discounting what's going to happen in the future, as opposed to actually focusing on what's happening right now. So I'm looking also at the Fibonacci levels as well, from those highs to the lows, and I can see that most recent candle that occurred on 3rd of May actually has touched 50% Fibonacci retracement and got sold heavily into the price. And obviously now that level of 125.50 is actually providing a resistance, which is very natural to see if you're a technical trader, that when the price provides support for a long period of time, and if the price obviously breaks at some point to the downward range, it will come back to test it, and generally speaking, it will actually fall from those levels, and vice versa when it comes to the resistance levels as well. So I see a major peak at that price of 126.334. Fibonacci level is indicating weakness because it hasn't broken strongly through the support level and also through the resistance, I should say, and it hasn't broken through the 50% Fibonacci level. And given the fact we're going into the meeting tomorrow, I think whilst the Bank of England will not drop the rates, I think the tone of the meeting will be a lot more dovish than hawkish. And therefore, I feel that pound is going to get sold heavily. Obviously, we're looking if we're actually looking at the correlation with FTSE as well. Right now, FTSE is obviously around, I think, 8,400 or so at the moment, and it's actually breaking through a major resistance levels. And right now, it's actually in a long, medium, short, and I should say probably going into a long-term uptrend at the moment. So, if you're correlating both of them, and the equity market is actually pricing that. The fact that obviously rates will be dropped and there will be more interest rate cuts until the end of the year, then equity markets generally tend to like that. So I will be short on this position.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Looks good. So both of you guys are essentially short. You guys, looking at the technicals, you're coming to the same trade. You're going to be mirroring each other. Just a matter of size. Who's going to bet more size and who's going to be right or wrong on that trade. So that's our first trade of the day. Both gentlemen are short cable, and we're going to put those trades in right now. I'm going to let Andrew trade. I'm going to let Zoran trade. Put those trades in. Are you guys both risking like 1%, or are you guys going to risk more size on it? What do you think, Andrew?
We agreed 1% would be what we'd probably do, so we'll do that. If you're good with that, Zoran.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just having a bit of a challenge to place a trade for some reason, but I'll work it out in a moment.
Okay, no problem. Well, while you guys are placing trades, let's talk a little bit about the charities that you guys are trading. One of the great things about the trading battle is that we trade real markets, real prices, real money, and then we donate that money to very worthy charities. This is what the traders play for. We've donated more than 50,000, maybe even 100,000 over our lifetime in charities. And let's talk a little bit about, who Andrew is trading for. So who are you trading for right now? What is the charity?
Yeah, so Boris, I'm a big fan of where we live around here. We're either over mountains or water. And so I'm a helicopter pilot, private helicopter pilot. And so good friends of mine are the Nelson Rescue Helicopter Pilot Service, which do an incredible job. When I fly a helicopter, I fly on nice days, go into nice places when I want to. When they fly, they go to people that are getting smashed up top of a mountain on a road and in horrendous conditions at times.
It is one of the most dangerous jobs there is. I mean, I can't tell you. Anytime we've had helicopter crashes in New York City several times, just in not even challenging conditions. I just I can't imagine doing it because it's such a hard job. Yeah. So and these guys sort of are going out to rescue people, rescue against forces of nature. Is that their mandate?
Yeah, they'll be picking up anybody from someone walking stuck on a mountain with a broken leg through to sea winches and rescues to transferring people from one hospital to a bigger hospital for surgeries, head injuries, everything you can think of they do. I know when I fly, I'm exhausted when I come back from a fly. And like I said, I'm just doing that for fun. These guys do it at night time in dreadful conditions.
Yeah, I
huge long shifts. Massive respect for their skills.
Helicopter flying is one of the most difficult things that you can do because there's just so many things you have to control all at once. Yeah.
So I think they're very worthwhile. Obviously, it's the local rescue helicopter, but I know the guys pretty well there, and they deserve everything. And they are a charity as well.
Great, wonderful. Sounds great. So it sounds like a great charity. Zoran, how about you? What charity are you trading for today?
So I'll be trading for a charity called Life's Little Treasures. I'm fortunate enough that my wife works for the charity in itself, helping, assisting and supporting families of premature and sick babies. So I think it's a great little cause, and obviously I got a 2-year-old here as well. So if I do get any trades right, I would like all the money to be donated and supporting those families as well, because they face a lot of challenges.
Are they challenges both medical and financial? What do these charities do for the premature babies? So
you're exactly right, Boris. Both. It's also mental as well, because it requires a lot of help and assistance throughout the process. With premature babies, it requires a lot of finance as well. What they do is actually assist with both, with having the right people to actually walk them through the process, but also financially as well, with helping donate and providing packages to actually assist them early on, because it can be quite emotional and it can be quite challenging, when starting out.
Yeah, as all of us who have kids, I can totally appreciate. Great charities, guys. Thank you for sharing it with us. Good luck, gentlemen. We are now coming to our second challenge of the day. This is actually my favorite challenge because I have opinions. I'm sure you have opinions, and I want to hear your opinions. The challenge of the day is your best asset of 2024. Trade your top trade of 2024. I have my view. I'd love to. Let's start with Zoran. Zoran, what do you think? What's your best idea for 2024?
I'll be a little bit biased on this one, Boris, because I did mention early on in the show that I really like trading index markets. Whilst we're coming into the seasonality period where, generally speaking, May, sell in May and go away, obviously, is not the best performing months or period of the year when we actually see equities do quite well. Right. There is an exception though, and that exception is that if we've seen bullish markets prior to that period, then generally speaking, we will actually see some decent returns within that May to October months. However, if you've seen fairly bearish period prior to that, then markets generally tend to add at approximately 2% return, which is not very substantial. But we're going into the presidential year in the US as well. And obviously that's happening in November. And if doing some analysis throughout history in the past, we can actually see that, generally speaking, those months have been performing quite well, especially if you have a look at the June, July towards September, October, averaging around 7.5%. Right. So I'm not going to go with S&P 500 or NASDAQ, but I will actually try to replicate that because ASX 200 generally tends to follow the trend of the US equities and US market, even though the market cap of ASX is actually a lot smaller, especially if you're actually skewing or focusing towards the tech sector. And tech sector has been one of the major drivers of the actual NASDAQ and S&P 500 with Mega 7, driving all the headlines. But I will go with the ASX 200 on this one, and I'm going to share my screen with some analysis on it. We had yesterday RBA interest rate.
Your screen so we can take a look at it. Maybe you can show us the ASX 200.
So I'll do that now for you. Okay. So what we can see is actually a consolidation range from around 7,500 level, finding a really, really good support. And bouncing off those levels, we can also see from the top of all-time high of 7,913, we can see a dashed line, downtrend line being broken. Resistance level around 7,700 is also providing a nice resistance level that has been broken, and we can see a clear bullish 2 candles over the last couple of days, not taking into account today's move, but yesterday and the day before. And we can see the buyers are in full control. So RBA came out yesterday. We were expecting probably for them to be a little bit more hawkish because I believe a lot of investors, hedge funds, asset managers, and investors were actually pricing in a potential 25 basis point interest rate rise or over the coming months. Right. But the tone of voice actually came a little bit more dovish. And we've seen us sell in Aussie versus the USD. So Aussie got sold off and ASX 200 was actually running nicely. So I would still like this to probably test the all-time high of 7,913. If it does hit that level and it breaks through heavily, then I would actually expect ASX to continue running over the next few months. But first level of resistance would be around that 7,913.
Yeah. You know how everything down under is the opposite. You guys celebrate Christmas in the summer and, all that kind of stuff. I thought you were going to tell me that, you're taking the ASX 200 because it's actually buy in May and go away down under because that's the seasonality. But no, it really looks really good. Speaking of by the way, of the sell in May, go away, just as a general concept, I posted this the other day on my Twitter. And by the way, gentlemen, feel free to share your Twitter handles if you do. Mine is FX Flow. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Andrew, what is your Twitter handle? If you
it is FX Forex Trade.
FX Forex Trade. Okay. And what about you, Zoran? Are you on Twitter?
Mine is Zoran K.
Zoran K. At Zoran K. That's nice and simple. Okay. But anyways, my point is about sell in May, go away. The thing that I found interesting is that actually May, June, July, as you were saying, are very positive months. The thing that drags that whole 5-month segment is the September, October, which is when you have just the worst seasonality in the market. It tends to be always the big sell-offs during those times. So it's kind of interesting. You have to look at the look underneath the hood to really understand that dynamic. But anyways, that's great. That looks like a great chart. ASX 200 is the trade for Zoran. That's his best trade of 2024. How about you, Andrew? What do you like as the best asset?
Well, for what I want to share with you today, for the best one for me to trade, believe it or not, for a forex trader, is actually one of the cryptos. We've just had some really great trades on Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum follow each other. I like them obviously because the movement, the spreads are relatively tight. But we had let me just bring up this daily chart trade here. We had a daily chart trade here on Bitcoin here last week, or a couple of weeks ago now, 24th, going into the 25th. Right. And we were taking this sell trade. But also on the longer time frame, obviously Bitcoin's shot up over the last wee while. But right now I've actually got a sell on the monthly chart. Right. Based on the close of the April chart trading into May. And so we've been riding that up, over the last few months as it's been heading up here on the monthly chart, but on a shorter time frame. But all of a sudden now I'm personally preferring to look for a few short positions. But the trade that I was looking at picking for today was actually Ethereum, to take a short position on Ethereum.
That's interesting.
For a similar reason, it's probably not on the monthly chart, maybe not quite such a good setup, but I'm looking for short positions on here right now. I see, again, plenty of room for it to move to the downside. Right now, as we've been on here, it's just broken 3,000, if that has any kind of relevance. I'm a big round numbers person, and looking at round numbers on cryptos is maybe slightly, a little bit less relevant. It kind of bounced off the 4,000 level here. Had this major high back here at the end of 2021, and it's now formed a new high, but obviously a lower high. I have a divergence signal on the longer time frame chart with my stochastics dropping as the higher price gets higher. Everything I'm looking at there is giving me the preference to look for short positions on some of these cryptos.
Yeah, crypto's been an interesting market. It's kind of been like, it amazes me at how little interest there is from anybody in crypto, given how strong the rally has been. It's been like the most stealth rally in the world, but completely ignored because it was just such a huge rally initially, and then it had a huge decline that I think it just washed away all the speculative sentiment for quite a while. And it doesn't matter that it doubled or tripled in value. Nobody seems to care. It just always amazes me.
Right.
Kind of interesting how that can work psychologically.
One of the things I have found pleasantly surprising is that, as I've said, look at candle patterns and candle shapes where they occur, is that they're working just as well on these crypto markets as they were on the pound US dollar.
It's funny. I'm watching you guys sort of handicap the weekly chart, the daily chart, monthly chart, and of course I trade the 1 minute chart. But I find that I'm literally looking at the same. I'm going, I recognize that pattern. I trade that pattern every day. That the prices are really repetitive. in the marketplace, regardless of the time frame you're looking at. There's just a lot of very commonality at how prices move up, down, retesting values, and going up. So if you can start reading those, it's like reading musical notes. Once you start to understand it, even though I don't read musical notes and I have zero musical talent, I finally beginning to maybe understand the chart talent, which is kind of fun. Yeah. One question to both of you guys. So my favorite asset of 2024 is actually gold. Love to know your opinion on that. It's just I posted yesterday. It's like this, the Terminator of assets. It will not quit. It just comes back and back and back. I'm wondering what you guys think about gold as a trade going forward. What do you think, Zoran?
I'm very bullish on gold. I actually share the same view with you. I think with so much fiscal policy and so much money floating around post-COVID, and inflation at its peak across the globe and interest rates being so high, I think obviously the so many currencies being devalued that obviously we're seeing that through governments across the globe, with China obviously doing most amount of buying of gold through Hong Kong since 2018. We're seeing that in the US. We're seeing that with geopolitical risks that are going on across the globe with Russia as well. And also, if you're looking at cycles, which I'm not going to get into it right now because it can be a different conversation and topic in itself. But if you're looking at the longer term cycles, then we can see that actually gold performs really, really well on around 10 to 12 year cycles. Yeah. And it feels that most recent move has been actually downplayed by many investors and traders because they don't actually take into account or consideration the longer term picture when it comes to gold and commodities in general. And we're actually seeing that through copper, we're seeing that through gold, we're seeing that through silver as well. So I'm very, very bullish on gold. I think medium to long term, it's going to probably outperform majority of other assets as well, especially given the fact that, we've got so much more geopolitical risk and so many issues going across the globe right now. Yeah. So I don't know if you share the same view with me, Andrew and Boris, but I think it's breaking through a multi-year resistance level over the past few months. Right. And now we're in uncharted territories, and gold, this is not a personal advice, by the way. Everything we discussed today is general in nature, and it doesn't take personal, financial circumstances, but I generally believe there is a lot of value going into gold, and that 3,000 level at some point will play out.
Yeah, interesting. I certainly think 2,500 could be the trade. It's funny. The only advantage of being old is that you actually do begin to appreciate cycles because you've seen them. I mean, this period really, really feels like 1970s to me. I'm just waiting for the bell-bottom jeans to come back and the sideburns, to come back, because almost everything, geopolitically and financially seems really, really similar to like what the 70s are. And I actually remember the gold bull market of the 70s. It just feels to me like we're building towards the same kind of explosive move. What do you think? What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I completely agree. If you're looking on that bigger picture and that global perspective, I've got to say, as a technical trader, I do love trading many of the gold and silver pairs because I find the charts really nice. They're good charts. You don't find many big gaps on them like you do on some of the other non-forex markets. I just find that the patterns are pretty reliable. You don't get big erratic moves, and you get sort of consistency with them, which is what I like about them. And we've been talking about longer term gold and silver heading up. Having said that, if you go through to some shorter time frame charts, there's also some very nice sell positions that may last a day or two as well. And that's what I think is really nice about the chart. It gives some very good, strong patterns.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I think, buy the freaking dip was kind of the mantra for the equities. And I think that's really transferred over to gold. A while back, I think it was about a year ago or maybe 6 months ago, I posted like a YouTube short where I said there's 3 things that are going to happen to know gold is a true breakout. 1, it has to break the 2,000, which it obviously did. 2, it's got to trade 200,000 plus on the CME futures daily, which is starting to do very much now. And then, obviously, the third idea was the idea of kind of sovereign debt issues, which is really what's happening. So yeah, I think it's a long-term positive trend, and it's you just you're with gold. It's like what I used to say with stocks: you're either long or wrong. You just buy every dip, and it's really been working. Zoran, my producer wants to know: did you get a chance to place the trades, or you're still having a problem with the platform? Because if you are, it's no big deal. We'll place them for you.
It's all working well. I placed both trades, so it's okay.
You're okay. You'll be able to place them. Okay.
Yeah, I've done it already, so that's fine.
Oh, you've done it already. Okay, so yeah, you're in the trade. So to recap, we have Zoran long ASX 200, and obviously short pound, and then Andrew short pound, and your favorite trade of
I'm just taking a short on Ethereum.
On Ethereum, right? That's right. Crypto, which it's actually really interesting because consensus view now is that crypto is still in this bullish phase. But I actually think when you were looking at the charts, it looked to me like a very clear lower double top on both of those guys. And if it's that's set, that's a death. That's a death pattern.
Yes,
because
I agree.
There'll be a lot of late longs trying to buy this thing as it drips lower and bleeds them out. So it should be really interesting to watch that. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about your business. Andrew, you've been running this Forex trading coach business. You coach more than 4,000 traders across 100 countries across the world. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what kind of a process you do, and what is it that you offer traders across the world?
Yeah, sure. So, like probably most people, Boris, when I started trading, there wasn't a lot of help around. There's a lot of people selling a lot of things, but not a lot of genuine help.
Yeah.
And so I, in all honesty, it took me 4 years of going around in circles, beating my head against the wall before I finally figured out a system that worked for me. And, as we know, there's countless ways to trade, but there's also quite a few obvious ways that you can do it badly as well. And so I kind of figured out something that works for me. And basically, that's what the course is. It's saying, here is what I do. This is how I am successful in trading and
right.
what I'm thinking and what I'm looking at. And it basically is, it's passing on that information that someone that wants to come on board. We cover the globe, as we said. We've got clients in 104 countries, 15 years old next week. Every day we post specific trades based off the daily charts. So we're saying this is what we're taking and why. We're giving everybody not only the entry and exit levels, but reasons for taking the course, for taking the trade as well. So it's kind of like and hopefully if we get it right enough, an earn while you learn approach, as in we're taking these trades, giving people the reasons so they can see on their charts in real time the trades we're taking and why, and know exactly how and where to enter and exit the market.
Right.
We're very big on low risk per trade. A number of our clients are trading prop firms these days. So it's definitely low risk, keeping that controlled, high reward trades. Next week, as just popped up on screen there, 15 years old, so we're having a bit of a
nice
a sale for anybody that wants to save 62%. Really, it's a 4-day sale next week. It's available on our website at theforextradingcoach.com. But we offer live webinars each week, trades, software like you've seen on your screen here that I have on MT4 and MT5, an incredible forum site. One of the things I think really benefits is that all of our clients are all out there to help each other, all trading that one same strategy.
Awesome. So this is
that's why it works.
This is an on-demand video course that explains the strategy. Then you have
it does. Yeah.
Then you have weekly webinars where you do some
correct.
coaching, and then you have daily trade signals off that strategy. It sounds like a
correct.
really nice, comprehensive structure. Anybody who's interested, feel free to. Links will be in the descriptions below, in the comments below. So feel free to take advantage of that. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Zoran, you are the analyst for ACAP. You want to tell us a little bit about your world of business and what is it that you do? Oh, Zoran is on mute, so he's going to come up in just 1 second. Hey, Zoran.
Yeah, definitely. So trading for myself, obviously discretionary trading, and also working as a market analyst for ACAP. providing insights into trading, obviously, and keeping on top of the news flow and everything else that involves it. So obviously trading derivatives, if you're interested in trading a broker, finding a good reputable broker with great trading conditions, then by all means have a look at the link below. And obviously, it's not suitable for everyone, but you should check out the terms and conditions and ensure that it's something up your alley.
Right. And, of course, we love 8cap. It's a great broker. Speaking of derivatives, they trade, of course, commodities, indices, Forex, but also 250 crypto symbols. So it's just a really full package. There's literally almost nothing that the world trades that they don't trade, which offers investors really great opportunities. We both have you have your 8cap shirt. I have my 8cap 8 ball. Let me just move my head. You can see it over there in the background. Over there. So anyways, yes. Here's a question that we would like to pose to you. What's the first step someone who knows nothing about Forex start with? Oh, that's a great question. So a newbie question from Jesse. I'm actually finding this quite a lot of new people coming into the market. There seems to be a new renaissance of interest in personal trading, retail trading. And it's been so long for all of us that we've probably forgotten all of the the initial stuff. But a good question. What do you think, Andrew? Somebody who's brand new, what would be your advice to them as to how they should start trading?
Sounds like a sales pitch, and I promise it's not. It's just finding someone. It doesn't matter. It's finding someone who's doing it, who you want to follow and trust in their system. And do your research, do your due diligence, but also find out if you want to be a news trader or a technical trader or a bit of both. It depends on what sort of person you are. But I think you need to shortcut your process and find someone who's doing it properly.
What's interesting? I find that it's not just finding someone; it's finding someone who fits your personality. Because I think we all self-select. Like everybody who trades with me is a complete degenerate gambler. Like we're all scalpers. We all trade the 1 minute chart. Nobody's happy unless we do 10 or 15 trades a day. And that's clearly not your personality. It's clearly not the kind of traders that you attract. But the point is that I think it's really like if you are that type of person, you certainly, may not, be willing to kind of look on the weekly or the monthly charts. On the other hand, if you are that type of person, God knows you're definitely going to just be completely overwhelmed in a trading room like mine, where you're going to do 15 trades in 2 hours. So I think it's really important to find somebody who you trust, but also somebody who is in sync with the type of personality, the type of trading that you want to do. I mean, yes, a lot of times you don't even know up front. The great thing about trading, I think, is it really uncovers your true self. It really opens up who you are. So by doing that, you kind of really discover what your true personality is. What about you, Zoran? What do you think is the right approach for somebody who's brand new?
Pretty much summing up what you guys said, with an addition to being patient, because it takes time, and trading is not the easiest, profession or that you can do, but it's also very rewarding if you know how to do it and you can manage your emotions. And I also, when I speak to traders and investors, I always tend to say that it's like learning any craft. If you want to be a top doctor, or if you want to be any profession from any walks of life, you actually need to put hours and investment into it, which will take a lot of time. And first few years you have to use it as a learning curve to actually get really good at it and get the grasp and understand what it's all about. And along that way, you'll find bumpy ride that it's going to have a lot of ups and downs. It could be financially, it could be emotionally, depending on the risk and appetite that you're willing to take. But essentially, if you can go through that period and master it and come at the other end, then essentially it can be really, really rewarding. But learning, finding a good educators, reputable people in the industry, someone that you can align on or align with, because there is a lot of great educators out there, but there is also those ones that are not so good as well. and especially that's been coming a lot over the last few years with all the social media that that's out there. So you really need to find yourself a niche or someone that you can learn from and essentially put the hours into it.
Right. At the risk of sounding like a really old, grumpy old man, even though I absolutely love the platform, a great rule of thumb is if they're on TikTok, they're probably a fraud. I should say that. Zoran, I'm actually curious. You mentioned discipline, your personal journey. Anything you'd like to share with us? Like, what was the turning point where you kind of learned to take stop losses, or you learned to control your emotions? What helped you? What was the trick or the realization in your own journey that you may want to share with us?
It's the fact that I lost money.
Yes.
Just probably like majority of people, but I've been dabbling into the market, since 2007-8, and that's been probably happening that way, going into specky stocks for a period of 2 or 3 years. Right. And I've seen a lot of ups and downs. And I was emotionally connected to a particular stock that I was trading for a couple of years for a consistent period of time, which I've done actually quite well at. But then in the end, I lost all, the initial investment plus whole heap of my own money, with the realization or mindset that when I was entering the big trade, that I was going to be 100% right. But in fact, I wasn't. The stock went into a trading halt. It was a bio stock, very speculative, very high risk. And it didn't come out with a product that it was actually planning to come. And the moment that when the stock opened up on the Monday open, it gapped down so much that I lost initially 60 to 70% of my investment. Right. And that was probably the best but most painful experience that I've actually gone through over the years, to be honest. Yeah. Because at that point of time, I was just starting out in terms of my trading, coming out of schooling and trying to save money and investing all that, and being super emotional about it. And that taught me a lesson that I had to sit down with myself and basically have a chat with myself and say, okay, well, if you want to do this, then you actually have to commit to it properly. And I found an educator in Melbourne. I've completed all the government accredited courses. Then they employed me to actually come and work for them for 2.5 years as an educator for them. Plus also they had a funds management business as well. So I was part of the funds management, and essentially everything started happening afterwards.
Interesting. And so, you talking about all this, your sort of your relationship with that stock kind of made me realize, I think as an analogy, very often the speculative markets are kind of like a long con. They like to seduce you either with a strategy or a story idea into into doing the trade. It's like playing the 3-card Monte, if you're in New York City. And it's only when you get older that you begin to understand, oh, this is a con and I'm not playing the game and I'm going to walk away from it. It's only when you start to understand that level that you can actually have the control of discipline, because otherwise you're just constantly being all those emotional buttons, just like the con man on the street, use them to prod you. The market does the same thing with you, and you're just as vulnerable. I think losing money. Yeah,
that's so true. And it feels like a Cinderella story, and you're always like, even though you're wrong, you're still trying to convince yourself that you're right, and you're focusing only on the things that are that you feel are right, and it's going to turn around. But unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't.
There's a very, very old movie called The Big Chill with Jeff Goldblum in it, and there's this great line in it. He says, the single most powerful thing in life is rationalization. You can go without food, you can go without drink, you can go without anything, but you can never go a day without rationalization. It's really true when it comes to trading. Anyways, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Let's do our third challenge, because our time is coming up short here. We want to place a trade on any commodity that you like. That goes everything from silver, gold, and oil, which are the 3 dominant ones, to, of course, maybe copper or some of the other things that look good on the charts. What do you think, Andrew? Just don't pick hogs or corn. Nothing obscure.
No, I'm going to pick a sell trade on a shorter time frame chart that's just closed just an hour ago on gold against the euro.
Gold. Interesting. Yeah. Gold against
I
the euro.
know we've just talked gold up, and we've just spent 10 minutes talking gold up, but right now on a short time frame chart, I'm looking at taking a sell trade gold euro. On this.
What is this, a 5-hour chart? A 6 hour?
It's a 6-hour chart.
6-hour chart. 6-hour
chart. Yep.
Okay.
Just closed. So on this shorter time frame, I'm seeing a close below my pivot point for the day here, close below the middle Bollinger Band. If I take this out further, it's been in a kind of a decent downtrend. And my profit target is going to be, because this is a shorter time frame trade, will be before my support 3 for the day, which is generally, I find, the lowest the price will go to for the day. Still give me, because it's pulling back a bit and we're talking about taking a market order. I've got 121.50 to protect the trade. A bit of resistance up here. Kind of like the trade.
Interesting. It's funny you say that because, I'm, of course, as I said, an inveterate gambler, and we're trading the 1-minute chart, and I trade all day long, all night long. We trade the 1-minute chart, and today was the first. When I woke up and I was looking at the gold market, today was the first day where I was like, oh, it's really showing weakness. Like my sell points are actually working. Sell points the last couple of days have really not been working because it's just been so strong. But today it's really starting to finally break down. Took out that I think it's going to challenge that 2,300 level today. So super interesting. I'll be speaking of this, by the way, guys. If you're interested, I'll be trading live on YouTube on our channel, BK Traders, at 9:15. Everybody is welcome. Just a shameless self-promotion plug, but I'll be trading live and I'll be trading gold. So come join me if you're interested. But that's interesting. So Andrew is short gold on a short-term time frame. Definitely a lot of signals pointing that way. What about you, Zoran? What commodity do you like as a trade here?
I'm gonna do slightly opposite approach. I'm not gonna trade gold though. I'm gonna trade silver.
Okay.
And I will take a long position on silver.
Okay.
So the chart here obviously reflects a falling flag pattern in a rising market, which is generally considered as a bullish move. We can also see an uptrend line here in the black solid line all the way from 28th of February 2024. I feel there is a bit of structure going on around silver at the moment, where $22 level, $26 level, and around $29 to $30 level are the major bands or major levels of support and resistance.
Right.
I think we've actually kind of passed that 22 towards to 26 level, and we can actually see the 26 level provided a fair bit of support back on 2nd of May. The price has actually, or silver is bounced off that level and now actually hovering around the upper level of our falling flag pattern. I still see that there is a potentially a little bit more upside on it, especially if you have a look at the silver in nominal terms versus the actual gold, because I feel like so many investors and traders have been actually taking full advantage of gold, and now they're looking for something like slightly cheaper, something very similar correlation of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'll go long on this one. I still think gold and silver will recover from these levels and continue its upward trajectory. It might take a bit of time, but I'm fairly bullish on both.
Okay, sounds good. And so that's what markets are for. That's why we have markets here. It's going to be on the opposite sides. Silver is definitely an interesting story. It is a catch-up story, and it's going to be interesting, fun to watch it. I think if silver takes out 30, which will be like a huge level, it's going to get so much more. Just sort of like my view about precious metals is that until we see barons and economists is really sort of like the goals. Until we see, gold, is it the perpetual shine cover? Until we see that cover, I think the rally still has tremendous amount of legs on the long run. But yeah, short term, I think Andrew, you might be right that today we might see that 2,300 level tested, as it's definitely coming down a little bit. So definitely what you're seeing is basically profit taking, I think, in the market. So interesting, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. You really have some great trades. We have obviously short on cable, short gold, long silver, and long ASX 200, and then short Ethereum. So there's like a panoply of choices for everybody to choose. I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that we can notify you when we have the next show, which we always have We'll have at least 2 shows a month here, maybe even more so, with all the great ideas. I want to thank both gentlemen, Zoran and Andrew, for sharing your insights, your processes. Be sure to visit Andrew. Be sure to visit Zoran at ACAP. Everybody have a wonderful day. I will see everybody in the markets. You want to come join me 9:15 New York time. We'll trade gold together. And otherwise, wishing you guys the best of luck, the best of trading. I'm Boris Schlossberg for the Trading Battle. Over and out.
Thank you.